Hello and welcome everyone, this is Bonnie and Board. I am Bailey, and today I am happy for you all to join me on a little walkthrough of a series. So this is a series that is very dear to my heart because this includes my #1 most played solo game of all time. However, A Gentle Rain is maybe going to top it at some point just because that game is so addicting to me. But anyways, that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about Gentle Rain. We are talking about the Forbidden series. And Forbidden Desert, as you guys who have been following along on my channel, you know, has a very, very special place to my heart because it is my most played solo game of all time. I love that game so much. It is a 10. So I thought I finally have completed and got all the collections. So I just picked up Forbidden Island last month-ish. So I decided let's just like do a walkthrough. I've played them all. Let me give you kind of like my thoughts about them and see if you guys like this. So let's take it to the table. There we go. So I have ordered these from when they came out. So to start, this one came out in 2010. We have 2013, 2018, and 2023. So these are all designed by Matt Leacock, and he also makes Pandemic, which is also another game that I love. So when I play solo, my favorite way to play solo games is to play a cooperative solo game because the rules are the exact same as if you were to play it with other people. And as long as it's light enough where I can run 2 investigators and not feel like I'm like losing my ever-loving mind, then it is a win. And this series does that. So if you are a person who enjoys kind of a lightweight experience where you actually get to beat the game, you don't have to beat your own score, you don't have to run an automa, you don't have to do any of that. You just play the dang game, okay? It is lovely. So first off, like, in case this isn't clear, I'm doing a whole video about it, but I really like the series. I recommend it. This is just help you as a buyer's guide. Like, would any of these be right for you? Maybe, maybe not. They are right for me. So let's go through some of the differences and whatnot and yeah, see what might be for you and what maybe isn't. So Forbidden Island first, Forbidden Desert, Forbidden Sky, and Forbidden Jungle. So let's just get it out of the way. Heads up, and let me just tell you my favorites. Also, I will have little review graphics that'll be coming up on Instagram. Board Game Geek, I started a blog, so if you guys want to follow me, it's called Board Game Reviews. Very generic, so I'm an accountant, so sometimes my creativity versus just like logicalness and naming things is at odds with each other. So anyways, I will have all of those coming up as well, but if you're watching this video, my favorite of all of these is Forbidden Desert. This thing is a 10, and we'll get into more of the specifics of why, but I'm just going to give you a lead up for while we talk about all these. So, Forbidden Desert, she's a 10. Love her. Forbidden Island, newest in my collection. I have played this one 4 times so far now, and I just did a playthrough with you all wearing this outfit. Literally just did it. No outfit change, Todd. Sorry, I should have went and got a different shirt. And this one I have played 4 times. I am coming in this one at an 8.5. So we have a 10, an 8.5. The third one to come out in the series was Forbidden Sky, and for whatever reason, as you can see, they abandoned the 10, but then came back to it. I'm not saying that like they needed to have the 10, but like once you started with a theme, I feel like you should have kept with it. I do like this box though. I love when things, I'm going to go on a whole tangent. You guys are like, what are you even talking about, lady? I wish all games came in the same box size. Or like, could we narrow it down to 3? Like, you're either this, this, or this. Because then on my shelf, I could just have like this size, this size. I don't care if there's wasted space, okay? I just want a shelf that looks nice and neat. Even this, right? Like, this one is only this long. This one's this long. These two look great together. We can all agree. Okay, that's a side tangent. We'll talk about that later. Bailey, stay on task. I haven't done one of these videos in a while, so I feel like I'm rusty. Okay. Anywho's, we have then the next one, Forbidden Sky. This one, I am coming in, what did I rate it? I am at a 7, which is just alocasia, my little rating scale. And Forbidden Jungle. So I've also only played this one 3 times so far. So I got it, played it 3 times, and then I kind of put away, and it honestly, like, didn't find myself grabbing it back out. But I think it's also because I love Forbidden Desert so much that I've since just, instead of grabbing Forbidden Jungle, I've grabbed Forbidden Desert. And that is why I will talk more to you about that. So you can buy the right one of these games for yourself. So let's go and just open up a little bit of boxes and hit some differences. But first, let me give you the high level stats. So this one plays up to 4. These 3 all play up to 5. If that's of interest to you. If you have children, I would say they will think this one's exciting because you're going to build little rockets, and it actually like lights up and does things. As an adult, I found that a detractor almost, but if you have a kid, I think they would love that. Forbidden Island is the easiest. So let's talk complexity. So complexity, we have a 174, a 2.03, 2.55, and then a 2.09. And I think the only reason why this one is more complex, if I were to ask myself that, is because of it has that little rocket ship that is kind of like very theatrical in a childlike manner where it like, I'll show you, it like lights up and blasts off. I think that it takes a lot of planning because you have to know the route with how you're going to build it and getting all of the electrical cords kind of set up in the right way. So I think that one just takes way more planning than the other 3. The other 3 are very light. You kind of can just like get in and go with it, and you don't have to think several moves ahead necessarily. You're just kind of like doing the best you can in the moment, I would say. So let's go ahead and just like, we'll pop the box on a few of these and take a look. So I think that's the biggest thing though, is complexity weighting and then playtime. So this one is quoted at 60 minutes versus 45, 45, and 30. I would argue that these are both 30. I would say 45 for this, and I would say 60 for this. So, in my opinion. But again, I'm playing solo, so, it's different. So, let's pop the top, shall we? Also, I shut the door, and it is like 1,000,000 degrees in here, so it's going to be 98 in Kansas City. This is very hot. It's very hot. And this room, as I've told you guys probably before if you've been watching, it doesn't have any separate air in it, so it gets warm real fast. But the girls, during my Forbidden Island playthrough I just recorded with you all, kept like coming in and out. Their little nails are clacking on the thing. They're whining, not sharing their toys. So alas, I had to shut them out and brave the heat. So I'm doing it for you. Okay, so Forbidden Island. All right, premise. You are an adventurer and you want treasure. Okay, so you show up voluntarily to this island and you want to collect all these treasures. This one gives me so much Pandemic vibes. So first off, if you are a Pandemic lover, this one might be the one that you want to get. So there's a few things. So all these are kind of very similar when you get into it. So here's our little treasures. These are very similar in all the different ones. And I really like that they did that because it's like you get the series, you know the series, and by just knowing like a couple of the things in the series, you instantly will do better with understanding how to play the next game because they all have they kind of bridge on each other. So have some of the same, even like Explorer, that's what it's called, Forbidden Desert. Divers, Climber, Navigator's the same in there. Engineer is also the architect in here. Messenger is the meteorologist. There is no pilot. Water carrier in Forbidden Desert. So these are all very similar. So if you like one and you like it a lot like I do, just go ahead and get them all. Okay, you can just stop watching my video. No, please keep watching my video. But I think if you're like me, you'll just want to have them all. Okay, so this one, again, we set up, they all have modular boards. So, and this is one of those things that I really, really like. I have learned that I love a modular board, and because it feels new and fresh each time, because of just by virtue of how you lay out the tiles, things are going to feel different. Now, I would say feeling modular, I feel it more in Forbidden Desert than I do in Forbidden Island. But this one is actually like just, again, like the kind of the entry one, very simple, and again, it gives me more pandemic. The map isn't necessarily moving around. You know where it is. You're trying to negate it from sinking and making sure you get your treasures, that kind of thing. So you are trying to find these 4 treasures and then get off the island. The island is going to keep going from this to flip to sink. If it comes up again, she's gone. Okay, so in pandemic, for instance, when you get an epidemic card, you will go through and you shuffle your discard and then you put it back on top. And by doing so, that means that the tiles that you had just likely flipped to flooded are going to be the ones that are going to come back up. So he made that kind of very similar. So pandemic came out in 2008, so 2010. So branched off of that, this one came out in 2010, 2010. So I think he probably made like a pandemic light-esque is kind of how it feels. Only this time it was that you're not trying to really like keep away a disease and whatnot. You're just trying to like find treasure. So it's more like an adventure, like we're having fun, but yet like also the island sinking. So you're gonna go and you're trying to do set collection to get 4 of the same type in order to turn those in, and that is how you capture your treasure. So similar to pandemic, where you need to cure the diseases by getting all of the certain colors of your cards, that is very similar. So this one, I would say, if you will have lightweight gamers, kids, all of the above, who want intro into co-op games, or if you're like me and like a solo game, this one is absolutely perfect to put on anything in the background. I literally could watch TV with Wyatt while playing it, and so I absolutely recommend it for that. Even if you are a seasoned gamer, it's one that you can get a game in. It's exciting to see, again, if you beat the game. You don't have to beat a score, you just beat the game. I love that. So that would be Forbidden Island. If any of those things sound appealing to you, then go check it out. Okay, so next up is my favorite, as I have already let that cat out of the bag. But if anyone was here just for ratings, I was just, like, let them go, have their piece. So Forbidden Desert, all right. She's amazing. She is so amazing. Okay, so this one, right, amps up the tension. Thirst for survival. This one you're just like adventure, if you dare. Yeah, it's a little like the island sinky, but this one is like thirst. Okay, and I don't know about you guys, but as soon as I start thinking about not having water, I'm incredibly thirsty. And so being on this desert, the map is the coolest. Okay, so as a person who likes modular board, I'll insert maybe a little fast thing of me playing the board. So when you are moving around, the map will move to the eye of the storm. So it is set up to where there's always a gap, and then whenever you flip out the cards, it will move so that the map keeps moving, and then sand will fill around it. So what a thematic, like, way to make the board move. And then also, like, I'm just picturing like a dust cloud and then things getting like filled with dust around it. So I mean, I was already like in it. Just so I'm like, this is so cool. But it feels different every time. And then this is what you see. This is all you see, okay? Same backs. You have no idea what is buried under the sand. So this is why I love this one, I think, the most. So it is just, man, like, everything is just so smooth. It just like flows so quickly and nicely, and has just, at least for my brain, like, it is the perfect amount of like thinking, doing, action. Like, I don't get confused at where I was, like what I was doing. I'm like da 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 da, like, done. And I think it is so much fun when you go through and you're moving, and then you're like, I'm trying to find these ship parts, okay? So this one, you are stranded on this desert, and you need to go and find your ship parts. So when doing so, you need to find the 2 of them. So here's one, for instance, yellow, and I would need to find the other yellow one, and then they will line up, and then it'll tell me, oh, this ship part landed here, in between here and here. So then you need to go to that spot, pick up your ship part, and then assemble it back onto the ship, and then get to the landing pad and sail off before you are buried, starved, from no water, and what is the third way to do? Oh, or if you the sun just beat down on you too much and you crisped crisp stuff. So I find just the like what is underneath this. Sometimes you'll go and this has like you're like I'm just clearing things and you're like I spent like 3 actions to get all of this cleared, and then you flip it over and then like you didn't even need the tile and you're like oh, okay. Or you go and one of these is not water, it's a mirage, so there's 2 ways you can get water in the game, and you can never get water again unless you're the water carrier. So just so much. I could just talk about this game for an extremely long time. So I love this one. Again, modular board is going to be set up. This one you're trying to get off the island, and I think the reveal aspect is what I find so much more exciting. And when I just compared this one to this one, I'm like, why is it that I love it so much more? And I think it's because the tension, just like watching the sand fill up and move around, and then knowing like, oh, what is it? What is it? What did I get? What did I get? That constant like reach into a bag, like grab something out. I love that. That's totally for me. So Forbidden Desert is my favorite. I rated it a 10. I think everyone and their dog should own this game. So, and don't let it like, I know they came out a while and most things aren't doing like 10s anymore, so don't let whatever like I guess like the look is giving you like go get Forbidden Desert. If you do not have Forbidden Desert and you've been watching my channel, just go get it. So okay. All right, so let's move these over here. Island. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit up Jungle. So Jungle is actually, and this is what we'll leave Sky for last because it truly is so much different. These are like, this would be like siblings that like all look the same, maybe. And then like this one, like, it's like, where did you come from? Like maybe it's like all super pale skinned, blue-eyed, blonde hair, and then all of a sudden you have like tan skin, dark hair, okay? And then you're like, where did you come from? You're still part of the family, but like, what happened? Where did you come from? Anyways, so these 3 are all very similar, and I honestly feel like Forbidden Jungle is like, these 2 had a baby, but me personally, unfortunately, I think that I would say I'm at a 10, I'm at an 8.5, and I'm at an 8 on this one. So the reason being, let's just go ahead and get into it. So I love the box, okay? This has like, all of their boxes, this is like raised, which is cool. But anyway, so I really like the box. But then let's go ahead and get into the look here. So premise of this one. Okay, so again, we've kind of like amped up the tension, like getting into the game. You're low on fuel, your rocker's guidance system leads you to a mysterious abandoned spaceport, on a remote moon. So this is the rocket that you build in this one, and you go from here to the jungle. Okay, I think that's cool. I like what they did in like bringing it like it's a story. We're going along. It says the spaceport is completely overgrown with jungle and is infested with a colony of spider-like aliens who don't take kindly to their nest being invaded. It soon becomes clear why the port was abandoned as whole sections of the station begin dropping into sinkholes. Okay. Are we kind of like getting vibes? Your only hope of escape is to put a transportation portal back in service. Perhaps it will take you to the planet below. Unfortunately, all the portals are overgrown and without power. Can you power up a portal and make your escape before it's too late? Okay. Alright, so here we are with the components of this one. So as you can see, again, everything kind of like inside the box. It's like, you know it, you've played it, you like it, familiarity, well done. This is like what I like to see with a series. It's different, but yet familiar. Okay, the tiles. Again, we had kind of like down, and this one does have the reveal aspect, okay, which I really like. I also like that we have plants, so this appears to be some type of crazy alocasia that I've never seen before exactly, and then not sure, some kind of like palm as well in the background in case you're curious on the names of the plants featured in the artwork. So yes, so this one they kept the reveal aspect. However, on once you get the cards, it's not as much of locating and finding your ship parts. So if you wanted a little bit more, so if you were just like, these two are too light for you, then this one I actually do think might be your favorite. And because while this one actually says it's more complex than this one, I would say that thinking wise and planning wise, I actually think you're more in control on this one. So I think this could be some people's favorite. Okay, so you're going to go, and on each of the tiles then instead, there's special abilities. So like compeller, and there's a little bit of this in that one as well. So like a compeller does something specific, the nests do something, configurator, the electrifier, and then you're trying to get these tunnel portals, which kind of remind me of Forbidden Island, getting the treasure. Something about that like just reminded me of that. And there's these little symbols, and this will dictate how the little things are going to spawn. And so that is where it loses me, I think, is that I like really don't enjoy like little creepy crawly creatures. And so I don't think that I like love having these around. And then the other part about them is I find them a little fiddly. So you'll have to go, and when you're revealing stuff, it's like spawn, you're going to put out webs maybe, and then the next thing you know on your little deck, it's the adults are going to spin webs. That means they're going to put webs out things. Eggs are discovered, so more eggs are going to be put out on each nest. So things kind of like go from, kind of like in Final Roll where they have like the hatchling on the Evomorph. It's like a hatchling, and then it went to an adult, that kind of thing. And then the adults spin the webs, and then so on and so forth. So it's very ingrained that there's all these little crazy things all around, and I just don't know that I love that. So if this is for you though, then you might very well love this one. Literally the reason why I have it at 8 is because, again, I think I just don't dive quite into the theme as much. So eggs are discovered, add 1 to each nest. You move the hatchlings and adults, and it tells you like which way to move them. So yeah, I just found it like maybe a little fiddly. And some people would be like, "Are you kidding me? Like you move sand around all the time on Forbidden Desert." And I'm like, "Yeah, but that's not really fiddly. It's like a one motion, sand, like very, again, like quick." And this one is more like, I find it like interrupts the speed in which I want to kind of go through when I'm playing that. So, but overall though, it is literally draws very similar vibes. So if you already have these two and you really enjoyed them and wanted a little bit of something in the kind of like bug jungle theme does not sway you, then I think you would definitely like to check this one out. I still very recommend it. It is a very good game. I still agree with that. I rate it an 8. Definitely a good game. It is just, there's also, I guess I should point this out while I'm moving these. There's also some different setups. So all of them, again, like do so well at having, so here's like the different difficulty. They all have different difficulty levels, just usually on their meters with where you want to start with how many cards you draw out at the end. And I think that's great to have a very, easy way to implement changes to meet the needs of very different gamers. So if you kind of like how I went with Forbidden Desert, I literally like started on like normal, and then I tried to beat it on legendary at all the levels. So Forbidden Island just comes with 1 track. Forbidden Desert's dual-sided with different player counts on it. So 2 players on this side, and then this one has 3, 4, and 5 all in one, and it gives you a different scale based on which player count you're playing with. So yeah. So that is Forbidden Jungle. So these 3 I would all highly, highly recommend if you like to play. If you have a family, you like co-ops, but also if you're like me, what I play them for, I literally like never play these games with Wyatt. This is, I like to play lightweight co-ops solo. That is my like bread and butter. So I highly recommend you checking out these 3 100%. So last but not least, actually, yes, least, but in my rating, but it's still good. I shouldn't be so hard on it. Okay, Forbidden Sky. All right. So open up the box. Maybe. It's like, you don't get me out to play enough. Okay. Woo. Things are falling. Alright, so when we get in this one, so the premise is cool. When your flying machine is about to dock at a secret power platform that floats 7,000 feet above ground, as you descend, you catch a glimpse of a rocket poking out of the fog. If your team can power this rocket, you'll be able to blast off with the hope of finally finding the Archean's long-lost civilization. In order to succeed in your mission, you'll have to explore the platform and wire together all the necessary components, capacitors, lightning rods, and the launch pad into a true electrical circuit. This is where the kids part comes in. Your problem: the platform is in the middle of a fierce storm that threatens every move with lightning and high winds. Will your team be able to power up the rocket before you're electrocuted or blown off to the depths below? So this one does give me Forbidden Desert vibes in the sense of, in this one you're like, am I going to get buried by sand? Am I going to run out of water? Those are the two things that kind of like hit you. And this one has, am I going to get blown off the space landing part that I've built platform, or am I going to get electrocuted and die that way? So each of the little character investigators, so again we have that same scorecard. So this one has 2, 3, 4, and 5 all on one side, same on both sides. Okay, so here's the little gear card. So these are the special abilities that the investigators have: gravity hook, stratoscope, which is similar to the terrascope in Forbidden Desert, platform clamp, jetpack, that one's in there, the med kit to heal people up, strike shield, kind of like the solar shield to prevent you from getting thirsty in that one, defrayer, so this one will help you repair some of the ropes. So these actually get strung together like so. And yeah, so those are, and then time throttle, which is kind of like, that one's also in Forbidden Desert. So there's a lot of similarities, honestly, with Forbidden Desert that I say is a 10, and I give this one a 7. And the cards all seems the same, okay? In here, this actually all is kind of in the realm of, so you have high winds, so whenever you have high winds, you're going to blow based on which way this little dial is pointed. Okay, I like that. I think this is neat. So if my little investigator was standing here and strong winds came up, I would blow this way and I would fall off. So then I would actually have to use on my little player board one of my rope tokens. So you have health from getting electrocuted and rope so that you do not fall off. So I like that there's kind of like this twofold part of your investigator, because like on Forbidden Desert, all you have is just managing your water. And so I liked that. I thought that was really neat. And then again, we have different play modes that are available. So you need to get, you can assemble the grid in whatever way you want, but you need to connect this big launch pad, that is where the rocket will take off, 2 of these, 3 of the little bit smaller ones, and then you also need to get 3 lightnings in there, and all connected via these little wire strips. And when you do that, the rocket will reward you by lighting up. And that is the thing that I felt like it was just like a little too, I don't know, childish for me or something. I'm like, I don't want to like have a little rocket like lighting up. Like, I'm already playing games as an adult. Like, I don't need to feel like completely like a child. But I could be alone in that, you know, I could be alone. So for instance, you put this little rocket into here, and you would have built out these. And I love tile placement as well. So You have to follow the legal lines of play though, so let me build something that makes sense. And so I really do enjoy So in order to get the big red, so in order to have somewhere to set this, right, you have to actually get 4, let me find red. And this is part of the reason why I have a problem with this game. Sometimes, so in all these tiles, like just the ability to get them out when you needed them to get out in order to assemble the thing, to put these there without getting electrocuted, it sometimes is so hard, and I don't feel in control of getting dealt with punishment, I would say, is I think what puts me at a 7, because I could have this all set up perfectly, and then maybe this piece just never ever comes out. Or again, like this one, see, I can't even put this here now because this cannot go into that, so that is no longer a valid placement. So there's just so many little things that I find it, and I think this is why this one has a little higher complexity scale, is there's just a few things that make it not quite as fun, because it is just a little hard. It's like you're all of a sudden, yeah, I could do this one. So you finally can get this thing set up. But then let's say once you actually have this here, and then you go like this on your rocket, you can use this as an action to wire something up. If you were standing on this tile and lightning strikes, guess what? You get it. So there's this balance between, you always have to not lightning or not attach everything up until you kind of get your grid built, because otherwise if you get it attached too much and have too much lightning, you guys are probably going to die from lightning. So it's, I don't know, something about it is just doesn't sing as much to me. And I do find that, so a couple of these pieces, for instance, these go like this. So whenever I was mentioning those 3 bigger pieces and little pieces here, this is how they would work. And so you have to get all of these connected together, and you have to spend actions to do this. It's not just willy-nilly like I'm doing. But as soon as you have gotten something like so, the rocket will do that. So something about that. Other people, and I don't know, I think it's probably just a me problem, but I am just like, I don't really want it to do that, because then I'm just like this, I just feel like a child. There's too many things, like I feel like I'm playing with like Tinker Toys or something, for me personally. But beyond all that, if you actually like a little bit just like tinkering with things and like components in your hand and rockets, this one might be for you. But for me, this one is a 7. I wouldn't recommend this one to everyone, but I think if you have kids, I definitely could see it being exciting. And then the only problem with that is this is the one that was giving me the most childish vibes, but then yet had the highest complexity. So that is why overall this one is just not one that I'd recommend to everyone. But it does, I think, have its people that would really enjoy it. So if this looked exciting and fun to you, I do love the look of the board, honestly, with these. The purple clouds is very pretty. And I like this one also had special abilities for, I forget what all the different things are, but like one of these has like where a verity cage where you can't be electrocuted and certain things like that. So they have some fun aspects that were added, but overall it wasn't as much of a hit. It was just a 7, which is alocasia. So there you have it, guys. That is kind of my chaotic and sporadic guide to you all to the Forbidden series. Let me know if you guys have any questions down below. I have played all of these at least 3 times. I think Forbidden Jungle I played 3, Forbidden Island 4, Forbidden Sky, I'm not entirely sure, but definitely at least 5 or 6. And Forbidden Desert, I don't actually know the true number because I didn't start tracking my plays online until 2020, but it would easily be like, oh gosh, I don't know, like 60 plus, so I like it a lot. So there you have it. That is the Forbidden series. Let me know if you guys have any questions down below. And with that, thank you all so much for hanging out, and I will see you next time.